Welcome to part 6 of my Canon rock tutorial. This week, we got what I just played, the guitar solo. Let's get right into it. Alright, this section starts out just like the second verse did. 7th fret of the G string with 8th notes. And this whole section is going to be 8th notes till I say otherwise. So it's going to start at the 7th fret of the G string. Then you're going to palm mute the open D string. And the way I like to do this is at this point in the song, I like to downpick everything so that it mutes the strings better. It's a little more aggressive. It's a little more driving, and it's the guitar solo. I think it should be. But if you want to alternate pick everything, that's totally cool too. So 7, and then open, and then 6th fret of the G string, open D again. 7th fret of the G string, open again. Now you're gonna come up here to the 11th fret of the G string. And then you're gonna open the D string again. Now this time you're gonna hit the 11th fret of the G string, and you're gonna hammer on to the 14th fret of the G string, and then you're gonna once again open D string, and then you're gonna do 12th fret of the G string, pull off to the 11th fret, and you're gonna do 9th fret of the G, pull off to the 6th fret of the G, and you know it. And then that's going to actually end the measure. So what we have, those two measures together sound like this slowly. And so I'll show it with alternate picking in case that's how you want to play it. And so it's whatever way you want to play it. I just like the sound of all down picks a lot more. And so the first measure is going to start the same. You're going to come up to the hammer on, and you're going to hit the open string again, so up to there is the same. Now you're going to come up to the 16th fret of the G string. And you're going to do 16th fret G, 14th fret G, open D. And you're going to come up to the B string and hit the 14th fret, pull off to the 10th fret. And so that little section, that's all the 8th notes. And so that second half I'll play for you now. And now that whole section together is going to sound like this slowly. And so from here it gets a little tricky. It's all alternate picked. It goes to triplets, and then it speeds up again to 16th notes, and it doesn't slow down. And so it's a little pedal pattern almost. So moving on, all 8th note triplets now. So until I say otherwise, all the notes are 8th note triplets. And so this little section is going to sound like this. I'll play it slowly first. And so what that is you're going to pick the 12th fret of the B string twice. And then you're going to hit the 10th fret of the B string. So, and remember, those are triplets. So there's those 3 notes happen in one beat. And then the next beat is going to be 12th fret of the B string, 10th fret of the B string, 12th fret of the B string. And now the next measure, or the next beat, excuse me, you're going to go down to the 7th fret of the B string, pick the 10th fret of the B string, pull off to 8, pull off to 7. And then you're going to pick the 9th fret of the G string and pull off to the 7th fret. So that's what that measure sounds like. Now it's going to start off similar, only you're going to go to the 10th fret of the B string, down to the 8th, back up to the 10th, down to the 7th, back up to the 10th, all alternate picked. And now from here, you're going to go down with your 3rd finger to the 9th fret of the G string. And then you're going to pick the 7th fret, slide your finger down to the 6th fret, also picked, then 9th fret of the D string, 7th fret of the D string, 5th fret of the D string. And so that finishes that measure, and I'll play it slowly for you. So those two measures together sound like this. And now for that section, it's pretty weird. It starts off, the first one, it's mostly on one string. And so so when you're playing it, you only have to worry about the one string you're alternate picking on. And then to me, this is really weird. It might not be to you, but I just want you guys to have your eyes open to this. When you do this when you start it again, the second measure, it's all alternate picked. But when you get to here, when you get to the G string, you have to slide down and finish the shape. And something about the string change, it just feels weird to me. It's technically not, it's a pretty normal picking pattern. But just the way that the shape moves, it feels a little weird to me. Just throwing that out there in case something's feeling weird. Just practice it and it'll come to you. So now moving on. Coming down here, still 8th note triplets. I'm going to hit the 4th fret of the D string to 5/7. Then 4, 6, 7 on the G string. Then you're going to do 4, 6, 7 on the G string again. Then up to 5, 7, 8 on the B string. Then you're going to do 5, 8, 7 again on the B string. Then you're going to come up to the E string and do 5, 7, 9. And now from here it goes up to 16th notes. You're going to slide your hand up a position to the 10th fret of the E string and do 16th notes. You're going to go 10, 7, 9, 10. And you're going to shift up a shape again and go 12, 9, 8, 12. And so those two measures together sound like this. When you get to the triplet section, your picking hand is very, very important, or at least I think so. You're going to make sure every measure, you're going to make sure you're starting on a downstroke. And it's all alternate picking unless there's some pull-offs, which there's only a few in the first couple measures. And so I'm going to really exaggerate so you can kind of see the way I'm picking. And so that was pretty sloppy, but I'm just trying to show the right hand alternate picking. And so when you're coming up the scale here, every string change is on an up string. And so that's just something you can keep in your head. And so just keep that in your head when you're playing through it. And so now we're moving on to the sweep section. When I sweep pick 3-string patterns, I'll start the pattern with a downstroke on the high note, pull off, and then I'll upstroke the B string and upstroke the G string, and then downstroke the B, downstroke the E, upstroke the high note, and then pull off, and then continue like that for the rest. And I always upstroke the G string when I get there. And then the rest of the picking pattern comes to me the way I normally would. And that's a pretty normal thing. So that's how I'll be doing this whole section. But if you do, if you already know how to sweep pick, and you downstroke the G string, that's totally cool. And if you don't, if you're still new to sweep picking, you're still learning, just just for the sake of learning, do it the way that I'm doing it, with the upstroke on the G string. And for me, that's way easier. And you know, just for the sake of learning and getting something while learning these notes, just make it that so it's consistent. All right, so this is definitely the hardest part of the song, without a doubt. All the sweeping things that we've done throughout the song to this point happen in this section. And so it goes through the entire chord progression with the same patterns we've been doing this whole time, but it goes all the way through it. And so starting at the beginning, it's one of the patterns we already worked on. And I'll play you the notes, and then you can hear that it's the same one we did before. So it's going to be 14th fret of the E string, pull off to the 10th fret of the E string, then 10th fret of the B, 11th fret of the G, 10th fret of the B, 10th fret of the E, 12th fret of the E, pull off to E. Now, we've done this pattern, you know, for a couple episodes now. And you're going to repeat it twice, just the way we did, you know, before. And then, so, you know, if you think of it that way, this is all stuff you've learned before. It's just in a different context in the middle of a big solo. Like, same stuff, just because it's a big solo doesn't mean it's not the stuff you've already learned and already are working on. And so this is it's just a lot of it in a row. And so if you practice this one shape over and over again, that's just like the solo, only you're staying in one spot instead of moving through the chords. And so if you just keep that in your head, oh, it's just stuff I've learned before, you know, it's really not that different at all. And so moving on, the exact same shape again, or exact same pattern in a different shape. You're going to be at the 12th fret of the E string, pull off to the 9th fret, then 10th fret of the B, 9th fret of the G, 10th fret of the E, or B string, excuse me, 9th fret of the E, 12th fret of the E, pull off. And so that's the exact same shape, pattern, excuse me. And just like I said, I've said it before, that this pattern works in any shape. And so this is just a different one of those shapes, the same pattern. So just get your fingers to get used to this new spot, or this new spot, and learn the same shape. So you can just work that up to speed. All 16th notes. And now, the second half of this measure is the other pattern we learned, where it's just descending 4 notes. And so it does it right there, 12, 9, 10, 9, the same area we were at. And then you move your pinky up to the 14th fret of the E string. And you do the exact same thing again. So that measure is going to sound like this. And so that's just incorporating another one of the things we've already worked on. So it changes up a little bit, but it's all stuff we've worked on. And I think that's really important. And so moving on to the B minor, we got 10 on the E string, pull off to 7, down to 7 on the B string, down to 7 on the G string, 7B, 7E, 10th fret, pull off. Same shape again. And you're going to do it twice. And then the same pattern once again, only down here, F sharp, starting at the 9th fret of the E string, pulling off to the 5th fret, 7th fret of the B, 6th fret of the G, 7th fret of the D string, 5th fret of the E, 9th fret of the E, pull off. And now you're going to do that, and now you're going to be playing over the same chord, but you're going to change shapes in the middle of that. The same pattern though. 5 on the E string, pull off to the 2nd fret of the E string, 2nd fret of the G, or D, B, oh my gosh, B, down to 2nd fret of the G, second of the B, second on E, 5, pull off. And then when you hear that slow, you're ending on the note, and then you're ending on that note on the 5th fret, and also starting on it. Don't think of that as playing the same note twice. Don't think of it like... Don't think of it as you're hitting that note twice. Think of it like just another pattern shift. It just happens to be where the other one ended. And so when you... And don't also be afraid if all your strings are muted properly. Don't be afraid to slide down. Slide your first finger down when you're coming to get your pinky there. Because it's really hard to get a smooth double picked sound, and I don't think it's really important. I think it sounds more fluid. The whole thing flows a little better if you just kind of slide it. And so this is actually what I was talking about, in the other videos. We're hitting almost every shape of like the regular sweep shapes that you hit. We're hitting all these with those patterns that we've been doing. And so you can work on all these with the metronome, and it'll improve your sweep picking a lot. And so moving on from that one, G major, another different shape. The same one we've done before, just down the octave. And so it's starting at the 7th fret of the E string, pull off to 3, 3 on the B, 4 on the G, 3 on the B, 3 on the E, 7 on the E, pull off. And again, we're going to move halfway through this one. Up a position to 10 on the E string, pull off to 7, 8th fret on the B, 7 on the G, 8 on the B string, 7 on the E, 10, pull off. And so, yeah, same pattern still. And I think I'm driving that point home because it's a long section, but it's all stuff that's been worked on before. And so moving on, we're going up. We're doing the other shape, the four straight down. And so you're going to do that twice up here at the 14th fret of the E string. Pull off to 10, 10 on the B, 11 on the G. Again, just the other shape we did. Nothing new, just a different area. You're going to do that twice. Now you're going to stay in the same spot, except for you're going to move your pinky up to the 15th fret of the E string. And then you're going to move up a whole shape to the 17th fret of the E string. Pull off to 14, then 15 on the B, 14 on the G. And then still, it's just the same 4-down pattern. And now up at the pattern we've actually worked on multiple times now in the exact same spot. It's going to be 19th fret of the E string, pull off to 15, 15 on the B, 16 on the G, 15 on the B, 15 on the E, 19 on the E, and then pull off. And you're going to do that twice. And now this part might be the hardest, but the way to think about this, I think, is just the 4-down pattern. So you're going to come here to the 17th fret of the E string, pull off to 12, then hit 14 on the B and 14 on the G, just like every other 4-down pattern. But you're going to do that once, and then it actually changes positions all the way down. And so I think this one's actually really cool. You can come up here to the 17th fret of the B string, pull off to 14. This one's a bar. You're going to have to bar 3 strings. Pull off to 14, hit 14 on the G, then hit 14 on the D string. And so again, just the 4-down pattern. And now you're hitting the 18th fret on the G string, pulling off to the 14th fret, then hitting the 14th fret of the D, the 16th fret of the A, and ending with a quarter note finally on the 12th note of the A string. I'll now play the sweep section slowly. This section is really hard, and I know that. And just practice it with a metronome. Everything here to the triplets, the alternate pick stuff, and the sweep picking. It's all work. You can work on all of it with the metronome, and it's all the techniques you know, but in a not very adventurous way. It's a pretty simple take on all these techniques. Now it's not really simple, but the way I'm playing it, the way I'm teaching you it's pretty normal, I'll say. You know, there's not too many weird string changes, not too many weird pick techniques going on here. And so you can work on all of it with the metronome really slowly and get up the technique that'll help you in many other songs. And I think that's really important. And so just work on this section, all the sections before and after. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. Play them with the metronome. You don't want to be new to sweep picking and pick this spot up and just go right into it as fast as you can. Because then you'll learn bad habits with both hands, and those are hard to break. And so I cannot stress it enough that how important the metronome is. And, I have faith in anyone watching this that you will be able to learn this song and you'll be able to play it well. And just, the notes, you do put them in the metronome now, and it's possible. I can do it. You've seen it a bunch of times on YouTube, I'm sure. It's possible to do. And I think telling yourself that is really important. And so with that, thank you guys for watching. And I'll have a few more episodes to finish up the minor section. And, and all these stuff at the end. All the crazy stuff that finishes that song. And so I hope you stay tuned for those. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you've been liking them all so far. Hope you're learning the song, most importantly. And so thanks for watching.